I've got with me today for this MH1 chat somebody I've got tremendous respect for. JC, as I know him, James Cooper, is a young man I met online, really, on Twitter, probably 10 years ago. And what I noticed with JC is that his content, his messaging was brilliant. He really was and still is a very intelligent marketing person. He knows how to get his message across. And something else I noticed with James was that he was doing online PT 12 years ago. Fair to say, James? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I would say 2011. I kind of fell into it, which I'll share in a bit, but yeah, it must have been 2011. So yeah, 10 years.
And so James and I, on and off, have maintained contact, if you like, social media wise, for since that long time ago. And I've always been fascinated with the work James does around mental health. And I just thought, because again, JC, you were doing mental health campaigning, raising money a long time ago, weren't you? You've been doing this for 10 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah. My particular 2015 was a real sort of, you could call it a breakdown at the time, but I like to look at it as a breakthrough. That's when I had a personal experience. So since 2015, it's been a real direct focus on the mental health. Prior to that, I've always had an awareness of it, but it really upped after my personal experience.
Yeah. And that's when, because one of the things I always, you used to talk, and this I think was what really drew me to you as standing out, was you, even back then, before your own experience, you, as a personal trainer, you did talk about the way people felt and the way exercise made you feel. So I just want to tap into that, please, James. Why do you believe, and why have you believed for so long, and not just believe but practiced this whole thing that exercise, training, working out, walking, whatever it is you like doing, is really important for your mental well-being?
Yeah, I guess it's the instant feeling you obtain after a workout, so I got into sort of the industry around about 2010, and this had been after a period of time that I had qualified within marketing, actually a marketing graduate. Worked in an office for a short amount of time, and it was even then that I was always connected to sort of how you felt. At the time, I wouldn't even classify it as being about mental health. It was just an internal feeling. And looking back, even as a child, I now recognize that I kind of had anxiety throughout my childhood. I just didn't realize it was a particular feeling. But it's always been something that I guess I've lost my train of thought a bit, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, I guess that really it's always been a part of you and what you deliver, hasn't it? It's almost, I think, it's almost a strength of yours that is there, that you could, almost say that you perhaps in the early days weren't even aware that your message was different and quite unique, because that's what I spotted.
Yeah, because it was, sorry to interrupt, I guess after university and doing marketing, it was very much, I wanted to create a brand, and I wanted it to be an experience for the end user. So an experience for me, and this is probably from my marketing experience, because it is kind of a social science, is that it's so important to make someone feel good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, for the right reasons, not necessarily making them feel a certain way, satisfying it with a product that they don't necessarily need. But do you know what I mean? It was always about that. So going into when I formed JC Fitness Experience, the word experience meant everything to me.
Exactly.
And I think an experience is the difference, because back then as well, it was typical that a personal trainer would deliver a session and that'd be it. You wouldn't hear from them for the next week. With mine, it was always stay connected, see how they're feeling, see how you can add value. So for me, I guess without knowing, I just, it was really important, and it was part of my service to ensure that the person I was working with was just satisfied, and felt good for it. So that was kind of the subconscious era, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
And then moving further on, obviously it became a lot more aware, because I had my own personal sort of
yeah,
challenges with it, so
yeah.
to speak.
And James, you also correct me if my memory, I'm a bit old, uh, but your part of your well-being is about you experiencing things, isn't it? And I always remember again that I saw, I think it was on Instagram, it might have been, but suddenly there's James drinking tea in Thailand,
Mm.
and you went to Thailand. Again, I sort of message you, what you doing, kind of
Yeah.
thing, and you were teaching out there, weren't you? Would you mind sharing that with? Because that
Yeah,
was part of your.
so what happened, I'm going to do a few particular dates that really stand out. So 2009, I graduated from university with a marketing degree. I worked briefly in an office, and I felt, and this isn't against offices or anything like that, it's just my own personal experience. I felt there had to be more. Um, so that led me, at the time, that's when we connected via Twitter. I was getting into my own fitness journey, and I was sharing it. And I just loved helping others with their fitness, and it made me feel alive. So I went down the route of qualifying as a trainer, with Premier Global, it was at the time. And then following on from that, I had quite a successful period where I was working specifically in people's homes. Following on from that, in 2012, I badly broke my left leg playing football, tib and fib, which meant I couldn't deliver my service anymore. So I call it my lucky break now, because of the trajectory that my life took after. But following on from that, I went online because it was the only way I could earn some money. I created a Fit in 40 challenge. It was a 40-day fitness challenge in 2012, all delivered through YouTube. Had great success with that. But then there was almost like a void. It was almost like you could say like a post-traumatic, like depression. I'd had such success, but I felt really empty. This was the back end of 2012. And what they say is, doctors and things, is when you're in not the best headspace, don't make a big life-changing decision. Well, here's me. I decide to go to Thailand, for the sense of meaning, to go and teach children over in Thailand. Having seen a friend on, I don't know, Facebook, posting photos. He was teaching in Korea at the time. So I kind of, it was again a feeling that led me to going to Thailand and Phuket and teaching English. So yeah, it was quite a shift, and it's crazy to think where it led me. But following on from my time in Phuket, I met a girl, an American girl. We fell in love, all that sort of jazz, and I kind of felt like our life was heading in your typical direction of a significant other. So we actually moved to Vietnam because I couldn't be in America, she couldn't be in England unless we got married, and that's a bit too soon. So we moved to Vietnam together, and sadly, a certain course of events occurred that we broke up. But I'd kind of put all my eggs in that basket at that stage. And the trouble was, I'd sold my car. I was still doing a bit of online work with JC Fitness clients and things like that, which was great. But I was kind of, I had the rug pulled from under me. And that's when I really fell into quite a depressive episode. so that led me to, a particular point that I usually go into more detail with.
Yeah. Okay. And you, as well, let me ask you a question. When I've done live, if you like, events about mental well-being, the I've spoken to a whole range of people, and the one word that always comes back, always seems to come back to, is purpose.
Mm.
You know, and I find that a lot of people get lost a little bit and lose their sense of purpose. Was that the case for you, James? And do you find, my question related to that is, do you find that routine and perhaps goal setting helps you at all? Does that help you?
It massively does. It massively does. Now, I'm quite open with my mental well-being and things like that, and the message that I do share is to take care of your mental health. And routine, what routine is fantastic for is, it's great on the good days. It's great when you're feeling like you can jump out of bed and all of that.
Yeah.
But what I find it even better is when perhaps you're having a depressive period, or you're just having a difficult time. It's being able to be aware of that feeling as soon as you can. So just for an example, for me, is if I have like a morning routine. I wake up, I'll get a cup of tea, I'll read usually like a philosophical or like spiritual kind of text, just to center me, followed by meditation. But what I notice is, if I've got resistance to wanting to actually sit and do any of those things, I know that that's a trigger to think, normally I flow into that. So I think it's great on so many levels having a routine, but particularly on the days where you don't want to do it, where there's resistance, it just gives you almost a vantage point to look at yourself and to allow yourself to be, maybe you want to be a bit more gentle with yourself. Maybe you'll make the morning routine smaller, or so routine is a fantastic way just to navigate days when, particularly with lockdown, when structure might not be there. Just by retaining structure, it allows you to navigate certain points of the days. And when you're feeling good and you're doing these things, that's great. But when you're able to still stick to a routine when you're feeling bad or not in the best headspace, that's such a small win that is anything but small. It's such a great feeling to actually accomplish something, even when it can be difficult. And regarding purpose, I think it's the most important thing. I really do.
So what's your purpose at the moment?
My purpose, to put into words, my purpose is to, with Smilinggg, it was always to do it, sort of leave a healthy, happy and positive imprint on the earth, on the world, whatever. But that is as simple as just smiling at a passerby. It's bringing purpose into your every day. Like before, I think when I had my difficult period, I almost felt like I had to change the world. It was this notion of like, my purpose has to be really broad and really big, but it's to pull it back and just see on the daily, how can I obtain purpose? So on a micro level, mine would be, it would vary from day to day, but that's where goals are so good. It could be going out for a walk. It could be giving someone a call, anything that just has a positive impact on others in addition to yourself. But yeah, my purpose varies, but it's always centered around being my best self, to help not only serve others, but to serve myself, to sort of be a better version of who I was.
James, could you show everyone your sweatshirt and tell? And there we go.
Yeah, Smilinggg.
So tell everyone about Smilinggg, James, because it's brilliant.
Yeah, so going back to 2014, 2015, my grandparents both sadly passed away at the start of 2014, very close together. During that summer, I moved to Vietnam, and then I had the breakup with my then girlfriend, who I thought,
Yeah.
the whole spiel. Um, and I fell into a really quite a bad depression over in Vietnam. Um, I for a few weeks, it was difficult getting out of bed. Like I really felt empty. It wasn't even a state of feeling sad. It was just complete emptiness. And for a number of weeks, I lay in that. I didn't want to get out of it. But after a certain amount of time, I just, as silly as this sounds, I Googled how to be happy, because I was so sick and tired of feeling so just nothing. And there was a few things that came up during that. It was things, and a lot of it I knew, like exercise, healthy eating, um, cardiovascular exercise. But there was three in particular things that really resonated, and sort of I thought, oh, okay, I could implement them. And so Smiling, the first G represents gratitude. Being grateful for what you do have, because it's so easy to look at what you don't have in this world, but to actually flip it on its head and think, okay, so yes, I've lost the woman that I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, but what do I have here? I've got, well, family were far away at that time because I was in Vietnam, so it wasn't, but you had to just try and find the things that you're grateful for, as we all know now. The second G is generosity, so kind of being kind to others. And the third G is growth, which is the notion of like really the growth mindset, recognizing that where you're at now has no bearing as to where you can get to. So that kind of gave me a spark, and over time, things, got a little bit better. Maybe I'd force myself to leave the apartment and go for a walk. During that walk, I would, look at what was around me, nature, whatever. And for those short periods of time, maybe it'd be a walk, maybe it'd be a run, I would always come back to the apartment feeling better. Now it would pass and I would fall back, but each day, if I could just get out and do the little bit of exercise, just broaden my sort of mind beyond the four walls. And over time, I kept doing it. And there was a particular point, which was, it probably bring a tear to my eye even thinking about it now, but I was out on a jog on a Sunday, and I had like my watch, sort of my phone strapped to my arm. Back then it used to be, I mean, we're only talking 6 years, but my run or something. And I was running, and during that, I was thinking what I was grateful for during the run. So I was just running around local area of where I lived, and I saw a family, a Vietnamese family, all holding hands. It was a Sunday morning, all holding hands for their daily walk, and they just gave me the biggest smile, and I just broke down. I just started crying. It was overwhelming. And at that very moment, I looked at my phone, and it had just pinged a mile. And then my mind was thinking, oh, smile, mile. And I carried on running, and over time, the daily mile formulated. And I think of it now, and it's powerful. But so that was, and at the time, it wasn't like I was just suddenly fixed, like I was out of depression, but it gave me something to cling on to. Again, that purpose, that sense of purpose. I thought, how many people are going through these difficult times? Could this help others? But it was helping me as well. So that's kind of that was the start of the Smilinggg Mile.
And James, for you, it's, when you're fundraising, it's not really a mile, is it? You're a bit you're a bit extreme, shall we say? Tell everyone your latest, because I remember me and you were communicating a little bit, and I just thought, Well, you can do that one yourself. Tell everyone what you did.
So last December, I did a 24-hour run, but it was a bit more than that because it was on a 0.43 of a mile loop that had a lot of elevation gain. It was like a trail, and it was in December. But yeah, so each year, just to interrupt, just each year since 2015, I've fundraised for. At first, it was Mind. So May is when the whole Smilinggg Daily Mile came to me. I truly like, you know, without getting too woo woo, it felt like it came to, in that moment. I can't explain how powerful a moment it was when it all sort of came into it. But anyway, in the August of that year, I ran a marathon for Mind in Vietnam. And then each year since, I've done a fundraiser. And I guess you could say the level has increased a little. Maybe 2016 was like an ultra marathon in Malaysia. 2017 might have been more of a community thing. But anyway, we've got to today. So yeah, a big part of what I do is obviously the fundraising for mental health charities as well.
Yeah, I love it. It's brilliant. And will you keep us posted on Smilinggg? Will you perhaps in the MH1 community? Would you mind, keeping updates and things?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of at it's always this time of year. It's almost when I'm formulating ideas and things for the future, for the next 12 months. And I must say, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me, how great it is what you're doing with MH1. And it's fantastic to create that community.
Well, James, it's lovely of you to say that. I can really relate to what you said about when you have that moment.
Mm.
And for me, I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not.
No, nor am I.
But I started to see more and more people who, in our industry, who were losing their jobs, and the word I would use is frightened. They were frightened. They were in that void. They didn't have contracts of employment, so they weren't furloughed. Many of them taught group exercise, teach group exercise, and are often, and I have group exercises in my heart. My mum taught group
I
exercise, and
read it. I read that.
the
It was a
story.
lovely post. Yeah.
Thank you. And so I'm, group exercise people, I adore. And so I think when I saw, the despair that was going on, and I was seeing stuff from, the usual industry bodies and what have you. And I thought, why is nobody taking a lead on this? Not to try and solve all the problems,
No.
but to for me, James, it goes back to what you were doing years ago, and it's that thing that my take on it is that everything we do in relation to our physical fitness actually starts in here.
Yeah.
And whether you are a competitive bodybuilder or you're a fairly inactive person, the fact is that something in here starts your journey,
Yeah.
or starts your workout, and when you finished it, something in here says to you, I feel good.
Mm.
you know
Yeah, I think 100%. And I just want to say, I'm sure not many people understand why I do what I do with my ultra endurance pursuits, but it's exactly that. And it's I'm very much about cultivating kind of virtues internally. So courage, resilience, all of these things, again, they're all mental.
yeah.
It's positive mental health is what I like to look at. These are all things that we can get better at. And I've actually got Mindset, the book, which was a game changer for me, to recognize that where we're at now, again, has no determining factor as to where we can get to. And my challenge is because in life, adversity occurs. Like there's, involuntary adversity. It's just part and parcel of life, but it's how you can respond to that. So yes, my challenges are voluntary in nature, but there's going to be times when I want to quit. There's going to be times when I don't know if I can take another step.
Mm.
So I apply that logic then into my life, where perhaps sadly my uncle actually committed suicide, and we had a really nice chat following that in 2017. And I don't know how I'd have responded, having be the person without my tools and things. So for me, it's about cultivating courage, resilience, and all these things that, again, as you say, whether you're lifting weights and you think you can't get that one more rep, but you can push it up. Like, there's so much strength on a deeper meaning than just the movement. And I think the more people that can connect to that, I guess, awareness, it's a game changer. It really can be such a game changer for people. I really think that.
And I'll give you two little examples. Number one, at the elite end, James, I have a friend who's a top in the world swimming coach, and he can tell. You could put two identical people next to each other, fantastic swimmers, but he can tell which one has the right mindset to succeed.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's fascinating to watch.
Yep.
He has a degree in psychology, and at the other end of the scale, I don't have a degree in psychology, but I've got a friend who's been through a tough time recently, a divorce. He's now, living alone. He's working. He's an essential worker, but I've noticed over time that he's less communicative, etc., etc. So, but I know he loves training. He's a fifth dan in karate. But he's just gone down.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I've arranged for us both. I don't arrange for him really to pick up a spin bike. This was only yesterday, and you're going to spin every day. And I've found, this is genuine. I found an old pal of ours who teaches spinning. And I contacted him and I said, "Will you do some, stuff for him?" Yeah, of course I will. Well, James, he's been and ordered a mat to put the bike on. He's ordered a heart rate monitor, and you can just sense the lift in him. And it's not because of me, it's because fitness, exercise, and purpose, and goal setting, challenges, whatever you want to call it, the kind of thing that
it reignites your spirit.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. And that's what it's done. And he's been, you're thinking, oh, what have I started?
He'll be at the Tour de France
he'll have sponsors and everything. Yeah.
No, that's a lovely story. Then it does. It shows the pattern. I've had clients when I lived in Vietnam. So I spent 3 years in Vietnam. So the breakup happened it went on for a while, but sort of midway through 2015, I was on my own over there.
Yeah.
And what I find beautiful is when you're open about your own struggles, your vulnerabilities, it brings the right sort of people into your life, because we can all relate on a human basis of, we've all had struggle, we've all had hardships, we've all had these things that connect us. And 95% of my clients in Vietnam, I kind of had the expat community just to myself. I lived in Hoi An. They all reached out to me because I had been open regarding my difficulty in my fundraising. So it just, there's so much beauty in being open with regards to our mental well-being, because we all are experiencing similar emotions. And it's just lovely when you've got a community to be able to know that you're safe, even when you just let it all out. And and I think it's the way forward.
Yeah, me too. So listen, one last thing. What would your message be to your friends in the MH1? Because we're all friends. What would your message be, James, to everybody that's already joined our group?
I think it would just be to encourage conversation and listening to what I didn't realize. I have a client, and obviously I need to be careful not to
Yeah.
disclose things, but a particular client said that I sort of saved her life in a way, but I didn't realize the struggle she was going through. I just delivered a personal training session or whatever. So just be curious. I think just to be curious of our network. You know, we all have a network. We all have a level of influence within our sort of environment. Just to be curious, compassionate. Again, I don't want to be sort of preaching here. Do you know what I mean? I'm just a regular guy that has found that the more open I am, the right kind of people come, and there's a security in that. So just encourage more conversation, listen, and yeah, and just be supportive of one another, I guess. I
Brilliant.
think, yeah.
JC, it's been amazing talking to you, catching up.
Likewise. Likewise.
Great to see you. Thank you ever so much, and keep us posted.
I will. Yeah, I will.
I want one of those hoodies. So.
Do you know what? It's not actually a hoodie. It's a t-shirt.
Oh, a t-shirt. Okay.
You turned off the call, didn't you? I would just, with regards to the Smilinggg Mile, it's there for everyone's use. If you visit smilinggg.com with 3 Gs, I'm sure you can link it, and click the yellow banner. There's quite a lot of information regarding the Daily Mile. Offer it to like your clients. Offer it as just well, yeah, just use it at your disposal. The intention is for, I would love the whole world to use it, but sometimes something so simple gets overlooked. And I could do all my marketing, but sometimes I lose the love of smiling when I feel I have to push it. I need it to just, I embody smiling. And if that encourages others to have an idea, you know, look into it or think, then that, I'm done being the marketing executive that I once was. But I obviously want as many people to do the Smilinggg Mile and to share it with their community.
Brilliant. Well,
Right.
let's share away. And
Appreciate it.
just to let you know, James, actually, I've already had, and this is this is from the other person, very genuine. I've already had somebody call me this morning, actually, in relation to rolling out MH1 globally.
Wow.
Yeah, so let's take Smilinggg on that journey as well.
Yeah, like, you know, if it can be on the back of MH1, it's all, again, it's all just helping make
Yeah,
the things a little bit
absolutely.
easier for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome.